listening to Tuesday Drive with Stephen on Triple U 104.5 FM.
And it's 27 to 6. This is, of course, Tuesday Dive on Triple U 104.5 FM, as that delightful little song just told us. Now, I've been asking the question today whether you're loving this warm autumn weather. Now, would it be fair to call it unseasonal? The reason I'm asking is because I'm having a little first world crisis, and I'm not the only one. It's April, and I want to start wearing my gaudy jumpers and scarf, and instead I'm squatting flies, and I'm ironing my shorts. Yes, that is true. I do iron my shorts. But look, while I harp on about longing for cooler weather, I'm, like you, very fortunate that I have a warm home to return to, and some people in our community don't, and that's the Shoalhaven I'm talking about. I'm joined in the studio by two volunteers from Safe Shelter Shoalhaven. I've got Sade Goldstein and Sandra Thulin. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
So I'll get you just to come a bit closer to that microphone for me. Thank you. And you're perfect. So, Sade, look, I'll start with you. For those not familiar with, with Safe Shelter Shoalhaven, what is it, and what is the service that they actually provide?
Okay, well, Safe Shelter Shoalhaven is an emergency overnight accommodation for people who are homeless in the Shoalhaven. They are able to come there and have a bed for the night, somewhere safe to sleep. There is usually food provided that we generously get donated by different businesses around the Shoalhaven. And there is access to showering, laundry where they can wash their clothes, and that, a lounge room just to be able to sit down and have a meal and have a hot cuppa and sit out the back and have a smoke and just know that there's somewhere safe to put your head down at night and not have to be half awake.
So who does the cooking?
Guests actually look after themselves, but we do have volunteers that come in from time to time and cook meals for us. And also my co-manager, John Steele, is a fantastic cook, and he likes to cook a little bit sometimes.
Oh, I
as well.
see. Has he got any specialties at all? It's my spag bowl or something?
No, look, I tell you, anything he makes is pretty good.
Good on him.
Pretty good.
So tell me, if people want to access the service, say, like, what do? Do they just walk in the door?
Look, we do sometimes take people that refer themselves to the shelter, but we prefer them to go via the homeless hub, which is in Junction Street in Nowra, and they often will do a screening for us to make sure that they're eligible to come down to our service, and then we take it from there and do an intake.
And so how many people can you cater for down there?
We have 7 beds in the male dorm, 3 in the ladies' dorm, and we have a family room that sleeps up to 5 as well. So we believe that we're the only shelter in New South Wales that take men, women and families as well. But we are only allowed to have 10 people sleeping there per night, as that's council guidelines for us. So even though we've got more beds than that, we can only accept.
So what actually happens? So it's some people they get your service, they use your service, and it's say after that first night, what happens then? Can they stay longer, or
yes,
they can? Okay.
Yeah, so there's no absolute time limit. We like people to use the service. If we're providing a bed for them, then we like them to use the bed every night that they're with us, because if they don't turn up, then somebody else is missing out on a bed. But generally speaking, we've had people there as long as 6 months, and then some people are only there for a few days. So it really just depends on their circumstances and what their other accommodation options are, whether they're in transition or whether they're long-term homeless and really looking for accommodation.
And do you actually help them find other accommodation, or is it up to them to do that?
Yeah, we act as a referral service, so we can refer them to the places that can help them with that, and we try to encourage them to keep appointments with different services, whether that's through community housing or via the homeless hub, getting them to go up there, and they help them with applications and the other necessary things to help them find accommodation.
Now, I understand that it's run 100% on volunteers.
Absolutely.
How long have you been volunteering for?
I've been there since about June last year.
Right.
And came on to help co-manage with John in November last year, so it's been a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it's fantastic. Like, it's an amazing service, and our guests are, people that are just at the pretty much the worst time in their lives.
So, and what are some of the roles that you've undertaken there?
Oh gosh,
so many, is it? A lot, yeah.
Well, as a volunteer, I'll let Sandra explain more of that, because that's their role, to come in and fulfil those shifts. For myself as a manager, we overlook the intake side of things, the policies and procedures involved in keeping the shelter running, making sure people are keeping the rules, but also just being there to listen to people as well, and understand that everybody has a story and that story is valuable. But we're also looking to be able to improve the service that we offer and do things better the whole time. So I also do a lot of volunteer recruitment. Ding, ding, ding. And training for volunteers as well. So we induct them, we offer them ongoing training, things like first aid, mental health first aid. A lot of our, probably about 10 of our volunteers just completed a course that the TAFE sponsored for us on volunteering. So that's my main role.
Now, Sandra, you've got quite a story to tell, and if you don't mind, I'd love you to explain what your circumstances were before you came to be volunteering at Safe Shelter Shoalhaven.
Roughly 4 years ago, I was homeless for 8 months due to family circumstances. I didn't know what to do. I went to Salt Ministries, and I've heard a few people. I told them my situation. They put me in direction to some people that can help. Also, some of those people that work with Salt have helped me out. Some of them have even housed my husband, myself and our 2 sons. But we couldn't stay there long term. And then somebody approached me and said to go to the Department of Housing. They should be able to help in some way. So I went there, put us up in a motel for like a month or 2, and then proved that I was looking for housing. I went through 130 houses before I eventually got a house, and I've been there almost 4 years.
Wow. And during that initial stage, was Safe Shelter Shoalhaven around?
No, it wasn't.
If they had have been around, do you think that would have made life a bit easier for you? Would have had made a difference to your life?
For sure.
In what way?
Oh, if they had housing there, like a bed, I would have taken them up on their offer. But when they weren't around, we just did the best we could and just managed from there. And then I went to Salt Ministries and I became a volunteer, and then they asked for volunteers to be at the Safe Shelter, so I thought, well, that's me, I'm going to volunteer.
And that's what I love. That's what I actually love about your story, the fact that you've you've jumped into the volunteering side of it, and you've obviously had a wonderfully unique perspective that a lot of us have not. And I understand that you're talking to a lot of these people that come into the shelter, so
sure.
You must be able just to emphasise with people.
I do. Like, I was a mental health patient myself. After doing a mental health first aid course, it actually gave me a perspective on what the homeless were going through and what some mental patients were going through, and also gave me a perspective on what I was going through. I understood it a lot more than what I knew when I was going through it. So yeah, it's just good to lend an ear, let them do the talking and let them engage in conversation.
And how long have you been volunteering for?
I first volunteered when they had a safe shelter at the Wesley Centre in Nowra.
Yep.
And then there was talk of having our own safe shelter. So when the occasion eventuated, thank you, they asked for volunteers, so I was one of the ones to put my hand up.
So the current one was it Kinghorn Street? Kinghorn Street, yeah. Were you there when it opened?
No, I wasn't. I came in a few months later.
Right. So it was still quite new then. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did a few shifts there, and then this year I put my hand up again and said, yes, I'll continue doing, and I've been on quite a lot.
Good.
I absolutely love the job.
Yeah, and what do you love about the job?
just connecting with people, you know, greeting them and showing them around the shelter what they can do, giving them clean linen for their beds and toiletries, and lending an ear most of all. You know, a lot of them just, you know, like to talk, and you just let them do the talking.
Now, do you actually make the bed, or do they have to make their own
No,
beds?
they make their own beds.
Okay.
Yeah, they make their own beds.
Do you check for hospital corners?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not that strict, but we just make sure it just runs
Apparently,
smoothly.
Sade looks for the hospital corners. Is that right, Sade?
That's right, yeah. I'm the bad cop.
Sandra, what do you think people get out of it at the end?
To what I've seen, a lot of them are grateful that they've got a warm place to be, a bed, a meal, a shower. Just somebody to talk to most of all. They don't go into detail, but you just listen to them, and if you can help them, you can help them. So,
now, I understand a bit like the Salvation Army and their door knock appeal, who are looking for volunteers. You guys are looking for volunteers as well.
Yes, we are.
What can people expect? What are the details that you require from people?
Well, all of our volunteers do need to have a Working with Children's check. That's mandatory. And then we go through induction with them, so we'll take them through the shelter and show them where everything is, go through policies and procedures with them, the general running, the hours of operation of the shelter, and then we would start rostering them in a shift that works for them. And always have them with either one of our very experienced volunteers, or John or myself as managers will work with them that first couple of shifts so they start to feel comfortable, and we don't just drop people in on their own and expect them to know what to do, but we do a couple of hours training with them and give them some orientation around the place as well, and it's one of the most rewarding things that you can do. I often say that communities are the solution to the problems within the community, and if we all band together, we can solve most of the problems within our communities. It's just when we're segregated and cut off from each other that we're unable to. But our volunteers are awesome. Sandra is one of our great volunteers. We have another
a leading star by the sounds of it.
Absolutely. And we have others that just give a lot of their time and effort.
And how many volunteers are you looking for, Sade?
Oh, I would like maybe another 20 would be awesome.
Wow, okay.
So that we have 4 volunteers on per night, or 4 shifts that we need to fill per night. And over a year, because we're open 24/7, sorry, I shouldn't say that. We're not open 24 hours, but every day of the year, from 4 p.m. in the afternoon until 9 a.m. in the morning. Then that's just about 3,000 shifts per year.
I was actually just going to ask you about these hours. So
Yes.
there's a shift from 4 to 10 p.m, then a shift from 10 p.m. to 9 a.m.
Yes, which is a sleepover shift.
Wow, okay,
So our
right.
volunteers are able to sleep over, and just depending on what's going on in the shelter at the time, the mix of people, you never know what might be happening, and that some people are more restless than others. Some are just there and ready to go to bed, because when you've had to be out all day, it can be by the time you get back to the shelter at 4 and have something to eat and get settled, most people are pretty exhausted and ready to have watch a bit of telly and head off to bed. So the volunteers do slightly different things, but yes, that later one, I've gotten there for my 10 o'clock shift to do an overnight shift, and everyone's in bed already.
Oh, nice. What do? You just play Sudoku or something, do you? Or
Yeah,
a bit of
that's
Candy
right.
Saga?
Yeah, catch
Candy
up
Crush?
on a bit of work.
Bit of gossip.
Yeah.
So I understand. So people can go to the Salt Ministries Facebook page.
Yes.
And there's a link there.
There is.
Before I let you girls go, I want to ask you, what was the connection with Narra East Primary School?
Oh, that's so lovely. Narra East Primary School were doing some fundraising, and as part of a lesson that they were doing on kindness. And with that, they raised about $600 in their fundraising activities. I think they did a mufti day and some other things, but they decided that rather than just giving the cash, they wanted to use the money to purchase toiletries, and they voted on how they were going to donate the money, and it was unanimous that Safe Shelter would be the place that they did it to. So they made up these wonderful Ziploc plastic bags with male or female written on it, filled them with little miniature toiletries and things like toothbrushes and toothpaste and hair wash and body wash, some socks and things like that, and then made up these lovely cards that to go into them for each person to get. That was just a, thank you. Sorry, not a thank you. A greeting for them, saying, we hope this is helpful to you, and we're sorry that you're going through a tough time, and it's our pleasure to have done this. And the kids all brought them up themselves and put them in baskets, and so every time we get a new guest come in now, we've got a lovely little toiletry pack to give them. So
I guess I have to ask the question there. If people who travel a lot and go to a lot of motels and hotels, then we always bring those little shampoos and conditioners home. Usually just sit in the cupboard doing nothing. Can people donate them to you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes, we'll take money, goods.
And all those little shampoos, conditioners,
little
shower
shampoos
caps.
and conditions,
Right, okay.
Food.
It's anything basically
yes.
that can help people.
Yeah.
That's very good to know.
Yeah.
Well, girls, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon and chatting with me on Tuesday Drive. It's just been absolutely lovely to meet you.
Thank you for having us.
And I'll make sure the details are up, so if people want to volunteer, we can hit that target of 20.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
And if you're interested in volunteering, you can head to the Safe Shelter Shoalhaven Facebook page and follow the link to register for more information.